All right, we're live.
Boom! Put it in the books. We got Blue Mountains on the road to 96, and all is good. Kyle and I are hopping on for a little 5 to 10 minute little game of pepper here in the podcast land, as they say. I don't think they say that, but who gives a shit? Because we went out and swept them, Kyle. We went out and swept the double dip, double dub. I don't want to say the first chunk of this podcast was negative, but it was like we got to overcome so much with the injuries and just the malaise, the offense, all that kind of stuff. We're basically the New York Marlins. We have to embrace that we are a team of minor leaguers and outcasts and like one or two actual major leaguers, some pitching, some bullpen, and we fucking win 3 or 4.
And by the way, Marlins made the playoffs last year, so crazier things have happened. It's so weird. Like the way that they have the team structured and everything now, I mean, even though they're not producing at a level that we thought they were going to, all the guys that are there, like all the pieces fit together perfectly. It's kind of like the Miracle on Ice team where it was like, I don't need the best players. I just need the players that are going to work for what we're trying to do at the moment. And like all the major stars, none of those guys get hits or put the ball in play when there's runners in scoring position. All these guys do is make contact. Like that's all you have to do to score runs. You know what I mean?
Baseball is a stupid game. We had a lineup full of guys who, home run champion, guys who could hit 300, guys that could do this, do that. And somehow, some way, guys are going to make a lot of money. And somehow, some way, these guys, like you said, they're just doing the right things. Pitching, defense, all that kind of stuff. And you know what? You escape with a win. Now, listen, I'm not going to like the Rockies are a decent team, let alone a good team. But, hey, you can only play what's on the schedule in front of you. And we're playing it. We've been like every time under the old Mets, it seemed whenever like the worst possible scenario would come up in terms of opponents, we would get destroyed. It would be like my kids blowing a whistle downstairs as I'm trying to do a podcast. It's just a worst case scenario. But hey, we're gonna fight through it, just like we're fighting through everything else these days. And I mean, all is good.
Has there ever been a situation for a team that's worked out more perfectly than what happened with the Mets, though? Because we were complaining in the beginning of the year that all they're doing is not playing consistent baseball, and not in terms of like the product on the field, in terms of just not getting to play every day. And we're playing all these 7-inning games. We're not getting to play every single game in the schedule. And next thing you know, anytime we're on for the day, it's a doubleheader, and we're usually picking up 1 or 2 every single time.
Every single time. I'm just gonna
keeping us afloat.
I'm going to flat out say it. I prefer 7-inning baseball to 9-inning baseball. I know, you tell it to Peter Gammons, he will die on the spot. You tell it to any sports writer from like born before 1985 and they will die on the spot. But I'm just going to flat out say it. That first game was 1 hour and 54 minutes. It was an absolute delight. It was sunny. It was a sunny day. Yep. Pitching, bullpen, defense. Boom, 1-0. See you later. 1 run on a home run, right? It was the Peraza home run.
Yep.
Peraza, I just saw the stats here on Twitter. He went, I lost it there. He had, with runners in scoring position, he's like 5 for 12 or something.
Yep.
And then the second game, we get that little wonky, walking in the bases loaded, whatever. We're winning the way we used to lose. I'm going to take it. I will not complain about it one bit. 9 innings, 7 innings. Give me a 1-inning game. I've seen the Mets lose games that started on Thursday, ended on Friday. I've seen all the badness. We're now in the upside down, except when you lived your whole life in the upside down, that becomes the right side up. So we are now in the right side up, Kyle. And I'll tell you, the view's pretty nice from the right side up.
By the way, Clem, this weekend, it is supposed to rain. So if they somehow get to double up again, and we got Walker potentially coming back. I don't know what the deal is with that is right now, because apparently they said he could potentially start tomorrow. That's the thing. Every single day, it's like you have no idea who's available, who's not available, who's going to have a setback. R.I.P. Thor. I wasn't in here for the pod earlier for that. But like if it's just next man up every single time and all the guys off the bench and in AAA have that mentality, I mean, they had I heard that the Syracuse Mets had the catcher playing like center field the other day because they literally have no players because everybody's on the major league squad right now.
Yep, exactly. And as our boy Mikey Bennis here says, Luis said Walker's starting tomorrow night. So as of now, so it's just it's like whenever you have like an actual major leaguer starting, like a legit starting, it's oh my God, this is so good. The Stroh show goes out, shoves. I mean, he was like he was a little uneven, but all matters is zeros across the board. 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 strikeouts, a lot of ground balls, all that kind of stuff. And then Diaz comes in. Does what Diaz does. The Diaz Confidence Club. Were you here with the Confidence Club for KFC?
This morning?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you might have been out for that part. Yeah.
No.
He said he is confident in Edwin Diaz. So we are starting the Edwin Diaz Confidence Club. If you're confident,
far, Clem, you gave him 100% confidence rating before the season started. So far, you've been right about that. On the way, now it's 80. I think it was 87 was the pace going into this game, into the second game. So where are we at now? I think it should be 89.
You'd think like right around 89, 90. Right?
I don't know, man. 96 is starting to look a little bit more possible. Especially the weird part is like all the guys who are hurt kind of sucked anyway. Like none of them were producing. So if they come back and it's just like wipe the slate clean after June, and then those guys start playing the way that they're supposed to play, 96 is like very doable.
Yeah, and the way my dumb brain works and thinks, and this may not be the case. I've never played major league, minor league, or even like high school baseball. But I always like when you get the guys back from injury, and if they come back and they're able to like get back in the mix. By the end of the season, when everyone's just like shot, their muscles are tired, they just had a full marathon season, our guys are going to be relatively fresh when it's all said and done, let alone the pitchers in their arms, if God willing, we get any of these people back. And again, the hashtag I am sorry, Ray Ramirez, I didn't see any injuries today, so I think so far so good. Knock on wood, we're 2 for 2 since we're easing his pain. We're easing Ray Ramirez's pain, and everything is going a little better than in terms of just not going bad. That's all we want, just no bad news. Forget about good news. We'll just take not bad news right now. I guess Taiwan returning would be good news. And
Billy looks like a solid pickup after one day. I'm already ready to approve it because we literally have nobody else as it is. So great, solid pickup. I don't know what we gave up for him, but
they said he could play all 3 outfield positions, and he's a first baseman. I just like first baseman and all 3 outfield positions. That breaks my brain. Like you would think someone who could do the outfield, all 3 of them wouldn't really do first base. Where it's kind of, I mean, we know how the Mets are. We either throw him at first base, then we throw him in left field to like completely bungle stuff, Lucas Duda style. Then we throw him back to first. It's weird to have guys that can kind of move around. I saw the defensive alignment for the 9th inning or the 7th inning in the second game. And I think there was like 1 person on there I knew, maybe 2. I guess Lindor was out there. Lindor, like again, he's doing it with the glove. I would really, really appreciate it if he could do it with the bat a little bit more. But what did he go today? Well, 1 for 3 and 0 for 3. So 1 for 6 on the day.
And that one hit on the dive was like very close. I think that would have been the one that broke him. I think that he would have just completely just walked off the field and started throwing stuff.
Poor Cameron Maben. He's in that like suck too. I think 0 for 28 now, and he's like he's tying records or whatever.
I tweeted it out though. He could never get a hit for the whole rest of the season, and it's still more of a success than Jed Lowry. I don't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to get a hit. He could have 1 million at bats compared to Jed. It doesn't matter because we only got him for $1.
Exactly. That's $19,999,999 less than Jed Lowry, who I mean, I'm sure he's probably hurt by now for Oakland, but he was on fire to start the season. I mean, I'm thrilled. Skinny Familia came through when we had. I mean, the whole bull. You can't really say anything. Even you can't even get really on Gazelman. I mean, he hit the guy. No. Barnes comes in. Barnes is the dude. When I see him, though, just the way his face, I'm like, oh, shit, this is going to be bad. You know what I mean?
It's like he's got like the slumped over like shoulders and you just like walking around out there. That doesn't really inspire your fan base or the fielders when you're on the mound like that. So like there's such a difference between that guy and like Sean Reed Foley, who comes out with like the waxed up mustache and like the tatted up arms. It's so night and day that there's no confidence level when Barnes is on the mound for me. And even then, like, he's not a bad reliever. I mean, if you would have told me before the season started that we would be like locked in our rotation for the bullpen, I would have been shocked.
Yep, me too. And again, like the bullpen,
seems like everybody has a spot. Everyone knows when they're coming in. Like, what a novel idea! Our pitching manager,
our manager who was a pitching coach couldn't do that. The ex-manager who is now an ex. Basically, he's an ex-baseball employee. He's done. He's cooked. Mickey Callaway will never see a job again in Major League Baseball. I think that's pretty safe to gather. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, all the nonsense with the dry humping the pitchers and just completely mismanaging bullpens and stuff like that. Tim Healy, I don't know if you saw that tweet earlier. He was saying he thinks Rojas, based on a first-place team, granted, who cares what division, all that kind of stuff. First-place team, 17 guys on the IL, and out of those 17, 13 13 are like starters and like, out of your first, your rotation, your top half of your bullpen and your, starting 8. Other than that, manager of the year, he said, for Luis Rojas.
It's, who was, I would put that in the same category as like LeBron's coach, where like LeBron's coach wins coach of the year every year. And then LeBron doesn't like him for a month and he gets fired. If that's where we're headed, fine, give him the trophy.
It is one of those things that I was looking and, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. A lot of people, it's one of those things like I can't even argue with him again. And we said this, I think it was before you hopped on during the pod. But again, I need to know what he's calling, what the Ivy Leaguers are the ones saying, do this, do that. He might literally just be the mouthpiece for the team. And let's be honest, he hasn't been very good at that because when he's saying the guys are getting anxious for Jake and then he's saying stuff to the media about, getting these guys up and the quotes make no sense. It's like, well, you're not even doing that right. But hey, nothing but positive.
If you're going to be a puppet, just do the dance up there. I don't think he has much of a say. You could just see it in the defensive shifts alone. Like we shift more than anybody in baseball.
Yep, exactly.
So if you just look at our alignments and that sort of thing, you can just tell like he's probably got zero pulse as to what's actually going on.
And that's fine. I'm 100% fine because it feels like our team is being managed completely different than it was in the past. And again, I don't think it's the manager who was doing that because that manager was here last year. It's everything around. It's the infrastructure, the I word, the beautiful, beautiful I word. We got a few people who said this too. Baby Yak 57. May and Castro have been horses so far. Could use an extra day off against Colorado, and everyone's complaining about May not being used. That whether that's a Rojas call or it's some nerd in the front office. You have to give these guys a day off because we have two off days in like a month here. And
it's a 17-game stretch. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
You're going to run them into the ground and then hope that Lugo gets back in time before somebody crashes and burns?
And you already won the first game of the doubleheader. It would have absolutely sucked if the Rockies put together a rally there and win the game. But, sometimes you got to just go with it. And, like, that's huge because now tomorrow, if we could stay in it against the Braves, you now have May and Castro against the Braves, which, I mean, let's be honest, it's the Braves game are going to feel a lot bigger than the Rockies games. Because I think the Braves, at least yesterday, they were the team that's in second now. I think the Phillies have dropped to third. So the Braves are chasing us, which I never liked.
I mean, Ozuna's out and their pitching has been pretty suspect. Mm-hmm. So on paper, nobody's in a worse situation than us, but then we just roll the ball out there and still got to play baseball at the end of the day. I like the scrappier teams. I mean, we got like a million David Ecksteins on the roster at the moment because none of these guys should theoretically be like successful, but they're all doing things that they're not used to doing. So weird.
Yep, and that's the thing. Like you go in with no expectation. It's like facing the Marlins. Like all right, as long as we score, like teams probably go in against the Mets and they're like, all right, as long as we score more than 4 runs, we got this. But they can't do it. We do all the little things right and somehow win the game. And so these are the pitching matchups the next 3 days. We got Walker Anderson, Peterson Fried, and then DeGrom Morton on Sunday night. Sunday night baseball. That's a bummer.
It's back. I think it's Saturday and Sunday. Or Friday, Sunday. They have 2 games. Yeah.
Saturday is Fox, and then Sunday is ESPN. So DeGrom, you just hope it's like the offense again. The offense showing up for maybe the backups will show up for DeGrom, even though they only scored a couple of runs the other day for him.
These guys don't know that they're not supposed to hit for him, so maybe he will get a couple of runs.
Exactly, like the team in the minors, the double A team or the single A team, but they scored after DeGrom got the no decision in that because he only pitched 3 innings anyway. But they ended up scoring like 7 runs as a team or something like that, so it was pretty funny. I mean, Atlanta, and again, this is just as it says on the schedule. I've been looking at the weather app trying to figure out if we can do anything fun, and it's good, as a family, and it's nothing but rain, 50s, maybe 60s. So it might just be a washout of a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Such a shame. We'll have to just pick those up in August.
Picking up is August. 7-inning doubleheaders. Oh, it would be such a goddamn shame to have to just play these light, easy, breezy games where only so much can go wrong. The Mets are gonna have all these wins, and it's gonna be played by far the least amount of games in the history of baseball, by far, since the dead ball since 1896 when the Rochester like fucking Elephants were played 100 game whatever amount of innings. It's gonna be absolutely crazy, but. Again, the baseball guys have fucked us, but they've also given us like a little bit of love on the side too. You know what I mean? I'll take it.
I mean, all you can do, we're it's going to be a wet weekend, but we're still in the sun in terms of somehow it's still shining on us. It doesn't make any sense in my mind. None of the stats make sense. Our best player that we're paying the most money is the worst hitter in the lineup. Down is up is down. Dogs are laying with cats.
Dogs and cats living together. Punta Salina is a vacation destination for families and friends. It's a beautiful place where everyone goes to have fun. And here we are. So, again, we need to think of a way, I guess, right now. So now we have Walker back. It would be DeGrom, Stroh, Ty Wayne, and pray for rain. I'm trying to think of ways to make it rhyme. That's a little gimmicky. I can't trust David Peterson. I think there is some stat about Peterson where he hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs since maybe his first start of the season or something like that. And
I know he had a shaky first 2, and then after that he's been. It's even like Lucchesi today. I was listening on the radio. I wasn't watching it, but every ball that was hit, they were like, oh, and it's at the warning track, and they just keep leaving them in. I'm like, how much longer are you going to torture us? You know he's going to implode at some point. That's always how I feel about Peterson. He can go like he did in his last start. He could go like 8 perfect innings, and then that one thing, as soon as that you can see that the switch is flipping, you got to get him out of there.
And that's exactly that stat is a bunch of malarkey though, because listen, his first start of the season, 4 innings, 6 earned against Phillies. He gave up 3 earned against the Cubs back in April. He pitched 3 1/3. He gave up 3 earned against the Diamondbacks. He pitched an inning and 2/3. And then he gave up 3 against the Braves in 4 2/3. Like those are bullpen games, and those are games that we lost 1, 2. We lost 2 of them, and then we beat the Diamondbacks in 10. So it's like those games put you behind the 8 ball, puts the bullpen in trouble, and those are games that completely screw up your season. They just happened. We rallied against the D-backs, but the other 2 we lost. So like Peterson is by no means. And Mats hasn't been great either. Did you? Who is it? Was it Tim Lennon the other day? Was like, oh, now Mets fans, as if everything hasn't been enough, they have to live with Mats throwing like a good game across town against the Yankees. Mats' ERA is like worse than
over 6.
Yeah, it's a joke. And like Sean Reed Foley has been great for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
he's my favorite guy. Who's the guy that you weren't banking on?
Yes.
That makes sense. He's the guy that is going to be that X factor type of. Okay, if it's going to be a game that we need to stretch somebody out, just throw that guy in because he's crazy enough that he'll throw 4 or 5 and be like, all right, I'm good to go the next day.
Exactly. And Tommy, I see someone says got to be Tommy Hunter. Tommy Hunter is like that was a no-brainer fan favorite. I hope we get him back sooner rather than later. I know
the Orioles fans too are like, just wait, like the guy's actually terrible. I'm just like, he's just fun and entertaining to watch. If he's gonna be terrible, then at least let him be funny.
like if his last moment was getting the hit in the show and then there's the I got a hit in the show, like that's the perfect way to go out. I guess he's like a problematic back, and like back injuries for an old professional athlete, that is like a death sentence. Like a torn Achilles is like the like more common way to just be like, oh, it's over. I feel like a back injury, you either are done or you're gonna come back and you're just gonna stink. So I hope that's not the case. I love to have the guy around, but next man up. That's the fuck. We're gonna have to start selling shirts like next. I don't know. I think the Yankees might have done next man up. We'll have to think of the another phrase for that. But I mean, the fucking New York Marlins are doing it right now. I've never been. I don't want to say like I don't like love this team because it still is like a fucking tightrope every single time. But like I fucking love this team. I love rooting for it. I love seeing it. And Frank the Tank is still negative. He's still calling them out. I don't know what to do with the guy. I think he's just done. I think he's hopeless. He's a hopeless cause.
Ken put it best. It was like we can't put any expectations on these guys. So you also can't get mad at them. Like they're literally the guy that's just I'm just here to do my job. Like I'm filling in. You weren't expecting me to be here. I wasn't expecting to be here. Like, let's just call it. It is what it is. Everything's just gravy if we win. That's pretty much it. If we lose, it's like, oh, well, what would you expect?
As long as VR's in the lineup. That's how he is with everything. And again, I think there's a little bit of Kaiser Soze in Frank because when the way he talked in that thing where he calls the guy a clown when he's talking to Brandon Walker, that was like Frank talking like a fucking like hard-edged New Yorker. He's like, that fucking clown over here. I'm like, Frank, have you been like playing us the whole time? I thought, I think Frank might be fucking Kaiser Soze our ass. But hey,
Yeah.
the longer time we don't have to worry about a Joey Fuego start. We get Taiwan Walker back. We build on this. Now we have 4 legitimate, like our legitimate starters in rotation. Cookie's not coming back anytime soon. Thor's not coming back anytime soon. So this is basically, it's these 4 are our guys. I don't know what they're going to do with that 5th spot. Yamamoto's hurt, obviously. It's probably just going to be, Joey Fuego or weird bullpen games, unless they make a trade or something like that. Bartolo, that was Kev's way of fixing it, was getting Bartolo on the team.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. He's going to eat innings.
Yep, exactly. I
would have the most confidence in him. It wouldn't even be a question. He would just go out there and all his ball moves is like this much on the plate. That's all it needs to move at 80. And it doesn't matter. I'm still going to think he's going to get people out.
And this fucking clubhouse would love him. Not that any clubhouse wouldn't love him, but it's one of those things. It's an easy fix. Uncle Stevie, be a Mets fan. Just fucking do it. It feels do what feels good. It's cheap. That's something you could do. You don't have to worry about any kind of like long-term ramifications in terms of the luxury tax or anything like that. Bring Big Sexy back to town. We'll sell some shirts. We'll have some fun. Once Bars to the Ballpark comes back, we can eat, drink, and be merry, celebrating responsibly with Big Sexy. So the road to 96. It's not paved in gold, people. It's paved in dirt and rocks and nails and blood and sweat and tears. Everyone on the goddamn wagon has chloria or dysentery or a snake bite, but we're still on our way to Oregon. Everyone's still alive, technically, too. Like, we haven't, knock on wood, had like this guy is done for the season. We have everyone still alive.
Yep.
All 5 of our people are there. We may have to put the rations back a little, cut back on the food rations, turn it up to a grueling pace, and just try to get there. And all the young kids who've never played Oregon Trail have no idea what I'm talking about right now, but who cares? It's the road to 96. It's the road to the Blue Mountains. LFGM. Let's go, Mets. We gotta believe.
Gotta believe.